Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar today, the new quality score info, what you need to know. My name is Chris and I'll be moderating today's presentation. So for today's agenda, we're going to go over the quality score secrets, how quality score really works. We'll compare Google's PR versus reality, which will tell you how to get the perfect 10 quality score, tips for writing killer ads and picking keywords, and we'll show you examples of high and low quality score accounts. Larry, do you want to introduce yourself here?
Hey, thanks, Chris, and hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I'm Larry. I'm the founder of WordStream. I'm kind of have a reputation in the industry for being really bullish on quality score. Some might call it a little bit unconventional views on the topic, but that's me. I also had a kid a few weeks ago, so I'm really tired. We got a lot of data here today. It's going to be fun. I just want to kind of put up some disclaimers here. So first of all, none of this information is official Google information. It's more kind of information that we've kind of learned based on analysis and kind of running. I have like 2,000 customers like running working with WordStream, and so and then I've worked in AdWords for many years, and so a lot of this is not the official Google propaganda. It's more kind of like, this is what I've learned, and so hopefully, so first of all, I acknowledge that this is not what Google is saying, though perhaps you could keep an open mind for the presentation today, and maybe given after by the end of the day, we'll see things more similarly. In order to debunk some of the Google theories and information that Google is putting out, I think the first thing that we need to do here is focus on some of the fundamentals in terms of like how AdWords really works in terms of the AdWords ad auction. So basically, Google, they're just like a money machine. There's 3 billion searches on Google every day. Every time Google does a search for one of these 3 billion searches, they have to run an ad auction in real time, and that's called the AdWords auction. And it's just an algorithm, and any computer algorithm can be cracked. So who gets into these auctions? Well, generally there's multiple advertisers bidding on the same keyword. Like, chances are you're not the only company in the world that's interested in a particular keyword, and so in order for Google to run this auction, they need to determine 3 things. First of all, it's like, who's eligible to appear. They need to determine the ranking of the different ads, because more prominent spots are more valuable, and also how much to charge the user, or sorry, to charge the advertiser should someone click on that ad. So this all happens in real time. It's just an algorithm, and basically, I realize this is just a review for some of you, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So if you could just stay with me here for just 5 minutes, we'll get to the good stuff. All right. So the important thing about this auction is it's not like eBay, where the winner is the guy who wins the most, or who bids the highest for the item. It's a very unusual auction where the guy who gets the top spot is usually not the person who's willing to pay the most. And so in this example, you can see there's advertisers 1, 2, 3, and 4. The key takeaway here is that the ranking of the ads is ascertained by multiplying by the quality of the ad times the maximum CPC bid that the advertiser is willing to pay. And it's the combination of like the ad rank, which is the quality score, times the max bid, which determines the ad positioning. And you can see here that advertiser 1 has the lowest bid, but yet was able to get the top spot because of his ad quality. So it's kind of an unusual auction that way, and that has to do with just Google wanting to, show ads that are likely to be clicked on, because they don't make any money if nobody clicks on their ads, right? The main question here is, if that score of quality is from 1 to 10, how is that actually being calculated? So this is where a little bit of math can come into play. So the first thing that you do is, and you can do this exercise yourself if you want in your own account to prove this to yourself. But basically, the first thing you need to do is just figure out what's an average click-through rate. So given, if you manage more than one account, you can just download the different click-through rates and just try to figure out what's the average click-through rates for the different ad positions. So we just happen to have, a good number of accounts, and so it's very easy for me to determine sort of what the average click-through rate is for a different ad position. Obviously, if you're in the first spot, the Google expects the average is closer to 6% click-through rate. If you're in the third spot, it goes down by half, etc. So now that we've ascertained sort of this baseline expected average click-through rate, it's a very simple calculation. You can reverse engineer the quality score equation simply by looking at the extent to which a keyword beats or falls below the expected click-through rate, and then plotting that versus the quality score of that keyword. And what we find is that quality score is a very simple algorithm. It's just based on your keyword's click-through rate in comparison to the expected click-through rate. So keywords that have this below average, so look at this 100% number. So keywords that are below the 100% tend to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quality scores, and keywords that beat the expected click-through rates, they tend to get 6, 7, 8, 9 quality scores. And it's that easy. It's just if you don't believe me, you can do this research on your own accounts, but I'm just telling you, quality score, they make it sound like it's some mumbo jumbo, but it's just based on beating the expected click-through rate for a given ad position. I hope that's very clear. So the next question that a lot of people ask me is like, okay, so that's how it's calculated, but how, what's a good quality score? What's the average quality score in 2014? Because it's been changing, actually. So what's happening is that the average quality score, when you think of quality score, you have a portfolio of keywords. Some of them are like low quality scores, some of them are high, some are in the middle. So typically you get a distribution of quality scores within your account. And what I'm seeing as I look in my crystal ball, the average quality score, it's around 5 out of 10, and that's lower than it was 3 or 4 years ago when quality scores were closer to average 7 out of 10. So the reason why this matters is because quality score not only impacts sort of the ad positioning, which I was showing you earlier, it also impacts the cost per click. All right. How does it impact the cost per click? Well, Google even gives us a formula for how they determine the cost per click. It's not entirely based on your max bid. Actually, the formula has nothing to do with your max bid. You see how it says your ad rank, the ad rank of the person below you divided by your quality score plus 1 penny, meaning your max bid isn't even factored into this equation at all. The max bid is not the same as what you actually pay. The max bid is simply a ceiling of saying like that's as high as you're willing to pay, no higher. Usually, like 99% of the time, you end up paying a lot less than the max bid. So in this example, I mean, this is kind of a complicated example, but what you need to know is that the cost per click that you pay for the clicks on your ads is inversely proportional to your quality score, meaning like you're dividing by the quality score. So if this number is a 10, then that cost per click goes down dramatically, whereas if it's just dividing by 1, then the cost per click is going up a great deal. And using some simple math, if you consider that the average quality score is a 5 out of 10, as I'm telling you, well then we can just calculate the expected increase or decrease of your cost per click depending on the quality scores of your keywords. And what you can see is that Google is either applying huge taxes, like huge penalties for below average keywords with quality scores 1 through 4, and is rewarding huge discounts for companies that are able to have high quality scores. So those keywords. So like when I say high quality scores, I'm just saying keywords that beat the expected click-through rate for a given ad position. So just we'll take those to be one and the same. So huge impact on cost per click here. But what about so far I've told you that the quality score has a lot to do with the cost per click and the ad positioning. But what about impressions and impression share? So Impression share, that's kind of like the market share of your ads. So like obviously if you're saying that you're selling, I don't know, Amish gazebos, then you would like it to show up most of the time, if not all of the time, people search on that very specific keyword. So impression share is Google is saying like, what is the share of times that your ads show up in proportion to the number of times they were eligible to show up. Remember, just because you're bidding on a keyword doesn't mean that Google will bother showing your ads. In fact, the maximum impression share that you can get is something like 90%, because they never monetize 100% of their searches. A 50% of market impression share would mean that half of the time people were searching on that keyword that you were interested in, that Google bothered to show your ad. So I did some math here, and it's just trying to figure out what's the relationship between impression share, so like the impression share of the keywords that you're interested in your account, versus quality score. And what I found was that for every point increase or decrease in your account's average quality score, your impression share will increase or decrease by 9 points. And so, meaning if you have such crappy low quality score ads, it's like Google doesn't even want to show them in the first place. It's not even like you can get those clicks. It's like they won't even bother showing them. It's almost like you're not running an ad campaign in the first place. So like why bother almost? So hopefully that is helping motivate the value of quality score. One objection that I sometimes get for quality score is like, oh, but I don't want to be in the top spot. Like, quality score, it's going to give me like these high ad positions. I don't want to be in the top spot or the top 3 spots because, maybe those top spots, the more prominent spots, don't convert as well for me or something like this. So, I wanted to figure out, how does ad position impact conversion rate? Is there any truth to the rumors or the kind of these notions that certain positions convert better than other positions, like I want to be in position 4 or whatever. And to do this, it's very simple. All I did was I just looked at the conversion rates for different accounts and different campaigns, and kind of check them versus the average search position. And what I found was that there's no evidence to believe that position 1 or position 2 or position 3 or 4 converts inherently better than any other position. It mostly has to do with other factors like the quality of your landing page, etc. It has less to do with what ad position you're in. So there's no downside in getting a free boost to being in higher ad positions due to having higher quality score. Another good question is who cares about cost per click? After all, this is pay-per-click marketing, and who cares if you're paying $100 per click if you can convert that profitably into $1,000 profit or whatever? Yeah, it's a fair point. Who cares about cost per click? Well, it's really just cost per action that matters, right? Well, the reality is that cost per click plays a huge role in determining what your cost per action will be. Because of those huge increases, like the penalties and discounts associated with high and low click-through rate keywords, and essentially high and low quality score keywords, that results in huge increases or decreases in your cost per conversion. So here again, I did some math on a couple $1 million of spend, and what you can see is that generally speaking, as you increase the quality score, your cost per conversion decreases, and that has a lot to do with the reduced click cost. So here's that same chart in a tabular format. So if you consider that the average quality score out there, it's 5, you can get up to an 80% discount on those conversions, or a 64% increase in the price of those conversions, depending on the quality score. Meaning, if you're that guy who's getting clicks for $100 and still profitably converting them, you could make it even more profitable if you had higher quality scores. Okay, this is really funny. This is kind of what I hear a lot from kind of junior search marketers. They say something like, oh, I hear what you're saying, and yes, they're valuable, but it's not possible to do get high quality scores in my industry, whether it be B2B or e-commerce or something, as if Google has some kind of a grudge against you or your industry. So in order to kind of debunk this myth, what I did was I just looked to see how quality score is being calculated across different industries. So, like, for example, I took a pool of real estate companies that were advertising for realtors, and I wanted to see, like, are they being graded on a completely different kind of equation versus all the other accounts. And as you can see here, the green line, it's kind of hard to see actually. The green line shows like how quality score is being calculated for real estate advertisers, and the blue line underneath it shows, you know, all the other accounts, and you can see it's basically the same thing, guys. It's just about beating the expected click-through rate. Now, what about finance industry? Like, clearly Google has it in, you know, to get the finance guys, right? Because they have all the money, right? Now, you know, I did the same calculation. It's really the same thing. I suspect that I mean that the curves are a little bit different there. They diverge a little bit, but it has more to do with like lack of data, like maybe insufficient data, as opposed to them having like a fundamentally different way of calculating quality scores for finance. Now, it's the same thing for e-commerce, like very, very similar, you know, calculation in terms of, like, you know, when I reverse engineer the calculation, they look very similar across the different accounts. So if someone tells you, like, oh, it's not possible to get a high quality score in X industry, like where X is like e-commerce or any industry that you're in, you know, it's possible that, how should I say this? It's possible that it's not, it might be the strategy that they're employing is the problem. And so maybe you should run away. I wanted to talk a little bit about mobile, right? Mobile is like, if you haven't already heard this, then you've been living under a rock. Mobile is going to overtake desktop in the next 12 months. Like, there'll be more searches originating from smartphones and tablets than traditional desktops in the year 2015, the reason why this matters is because they're very different. So mobile has a smaller form factor and has different click-through rate kind of characteristics, meaning like the average click-through rate, like the expected click-through rate for mobile is much lower than the expected click-through rate for a desktop, given a similar ad position. So look at how this red line, it drops really quickly. You know, beyond position 4, it's almost like there's no click-through rate whatsoever because, you know, Google typically doesn't show for ads on a mobile result. So yeah, the question is, if quality score is about beating the expected click-through rate, how does mobile factor into this, given that on average mobile will have a substantially lower click-through rate than desktop? And the answer is, there's no penalty for bidding on mobile keywords or mobile clicks. Like, what I looked at here is I tried to figure out if I took a portfolio of clients and just trying to figure out, like, if you have 5% mobile clicks coming from your account versus 20 or 30 or 40% mobile clicks, it doesn't matter. They always, the average quality scores was more or less the same, meaning Google must be therefore taking advantage to factoring in the lower expected click-through rates for mobile, and kind of just like how they normalize for ad position, they also normalize for the medium, like the device from where the search originated. Hopefully that makes sense. I just had one other interesting slide here. That is to say, like, how does impression share kind of drop off depending on the ad position on mobile? And what you can see is that it's fiercely competitive in mobile. Like, your impression share just falls off the map as you move from position 1 to position 2 to position 3 to position 4. Like that red line shows your impression share just gets destroyed. And so, whereas, you know, in desktop you could hang out to like position 5, 6, 7, and you'd still potentially get an ad impression. Meaning, remember how I was saying earlier that Google is very, very picky about what ads they show? Like, they don't even bother showing ads that are of low quality. Well, this is, like, you know, 3 times more true of mobile than it is of desktop, right? Meaning that they're even more picky what ads they show up on mobile because there's so few spots, and so thus the quality of your ads, it's a much more important factor on mobile than it is on desktop because, and I'm saying it's also important on desktop, but it's even more important on mobile. And the reason is because there's so few ad spots, and so they're only going to reward it to the ones that have the high quality ads that are likely to be clicked on. So, guys, we've been talking for about 10-15 minutes here. I just hope I've convinced you here, using not just because I say so, but because of the data that I'm sharing with you here today. I hope I'm convincing you that the low click-through rate, this notion of like, oh, I'm going to try to write ads that are, that get, 0.1% click-through rate, and that's going to be my key to success or whatever. Like, that's not a winning strategy. It's a losing strategy because let's just quickly recap. So the below average click-through rate, that's essentially the same thing as below quality score. Okay, so we're using those words interchangeably because that's how that's calculated. Low click-through rates, let's recap, they have lower ad positions, like you're at the bottom of the page here. You often don't even get displayed. Remember, for every increase and decrease in quality score of 1 point, you're losing or gaining 9% impression share, and that number triples when we're talking about mobile because there's fewer spots. You get these penalties in terms of the cost per clicks, like up to 400% higher cost per click for those low click-through rate keywords, whereas you could have been getting a discount of up to 50%, and that those huge penalties or discounts on cost per click have a big impact on your cost per conversion. So, I'm hopefully that some of you are seeing it my way, which is that I think that this is a very important metric that kind of as I look at across a few thousand accounts, if I was blindfolded and only could pick one metric to look at, one metric in the account to determine whether or not the account owner is happy and being successful or not. The second most important metric is quality score, meaning it's a great predictor of success or failure. The first most important is I can look at your account activity logs and I can see if you're doing anything or not. And if you're not doing anything at all, then I know that things are not going to be working. So so quality score, as far as I can tell, it's like the second most important metric, in terms of the overall health of your account because it impacts everything in your account clearly. So instead, if the low quality score, low click-through rate strategy is the losing strategy, what's the winning game? Like, what's the play here? Like, well, the answer is to do the opposite. Instead of just picking every keyword in the dictionary to bid on, be very, very, very picky. Just pick only a narrow set of keywords that are highly relevant to your business and try to get ridiculously high click-through rates on those ads. Sort of a corollary that's kind of in scientific terms, that means that it follows that you should delete the junk keywords in your account because the bottom third of your account, like the very worst quality score click-through rate keywords in your account, those are the ones that are going to be sucking the life out of your account in terms of draining performance and making it very difficult to be successful. All right, so that's kind of end of section 1. We've talked a little bit about how quality score is calculated and why it matters, and none of this was Google propaganda. This is all based on my own analysis and experience, 10 years of experience of doing paid search. Okay, so now let's compare and contrast that with sort of the new Google information and try to figure out, is there anything new here, or where are the gaps? Like most of you in the poll agreed with me that there were, it's directionally correct, they're giving some useful information, but they're leaving out certain key details. So let's take a look at that. So first of all, they released 2 new pieces of information. One was on June 24th, which was, Google releases AdWords Quality Score Primer aimed at dispelling misconceptions. And I thought that was really interesting because they haven't done this for many, many years, and I was curious why they would do that. Especially with using a title such as settling the quality score. So, I have no evidence to corroborate this. I emailed them. I said, like, why are you guys doing this now? Is it because of all of my the content that I'm pushing out about the importance of quality score? And they just said, well, it was this old information. They wanted to update it. So they're denying that I had anything to do with this. But I do think about like the title of like settling the quality score, and think about some of the language that they used within that report about like you shouldn't obsess about quality score. I actually wrote an article saying like, why should you obsess about quality score? So I wonder like if they're maybe reading some of my stuff. But the point is that there is a new white paper. You should download it here. I shortened the URL, bit.ly/QS white paper. Go ahead and read it. I've already read it. Save you the time. 95% of it is the usual Google propaganda about happy customers, happy advertisers, like happy users, happy advertisers, and happy Google. Like quality score is the thing that makes everybody happy because you get relevant ads, and advertisers find them to be useful, and Google makes a ton of money. So that's about 90 to 95% of the information. There was a little bit of new information here. The first kind of really interesting thing, and this is just from page 1, is that they're really downplaying the importance of quality score. It's like, this is actually the verbiage that I used in the poll question. It's like they say, this is a direct quotation from the white paper. It says, quality score is a helpful diagnostic tool, not a key performance indicator. Why? Your quality score is like a warning light in your car's engine that shows how healthy your ads and keywords are. It's not meant to be a detailed metric. It should be the focus of account management. Source, that new white paper. So I find this very unusual because, well, not only because of the research that I just shared you showing like, holy cow, like this metric is really important in terms of like all the different, it's like a super metric. It impacts everything in your account, but they're saying it should not be the focus of account management. I was also confused because I remember reading Google material, like, don't take my words for it. Like, just Google, look at the previous documentation that it replaced. This is from a video called "What is AdWords Quality Score and Why Does It Matter?" Published by Google, the same people, and it sounded like they had a slightly different tune there. It's like it's actually much more aligned with what I've been saying, which is that it's an important important metric, plays a huge role in the success in terms of determining the ad position, the cost per click. The higher your QS, the better your position, and the less you have to pay for it. Being successful with AdWords means getting your products and services in front of the people who are most likely to become your customers, and a high quality score can make that happen. Amen. So that makes sense. So like, but what's this? It's like, it's a check engine light. No, it's very important. So like, I thought that was kind of a very interesting kind of a development that like they invented this thing and now they're saying it's not important. Well, why would they be doing this? Guys, can we just think critically here and try to understand what could be some of the motivations here? Well, remember that chart I was showing you earlier? It has to do with the quality score being based on your expected sort of the performance of your keywords relative to the average click-through rate at a given position. So by definition, an average, if I think of like the 500 people who are on this webinar today, 250 of you are going to have click-through rates that are actually below average, and 250 of you will be above average. Like, because we can't all be above average. That's just how an average works. You see what I mean? So, in terms of my research, like this notion, it's a relative calculation. The quality score is based on how you're doing against the competition, and we can't all be winners. And so, if Google were to acknowledge that quality score is like as important, this is just my theory, by the way. Like this is not official Google information. Like this is just First Amendment, my kind of opinion on this matter. Just saying if they were to acknowledge that the importance and significance of the metric, as I have demonstrated to you, then they would be alienating 50% of the people on this call who are kind of falling on the bottom side of that average distribution. We can't all be above average. Another possible theory, has to do with this graph that I showed you earlier, which has to do with the inverse relationship between quality score and cost per click. So, Google charges much more per click for those low quality keywords than they do for the high quality keywords. It's almost like a 600% difference if you go from plus 400 to minus 50%. It's ridiculous. And so by my estimation, I think it's roughly 2/3 of Google revenue is actually coming from the below average quality score keywords. So for them to say that those are bad, do you see how that might affect their bottom line a little bit? So it totally makes sense when you consider the cost per click and the cost of these keywords and where the revenue is coming from, and the fact that half of us have below average quality scores. I can totally understand, and from a business perspective, why Google is kind of distancing themselves from the metric that they created and that they're sharing with us, and they used to say was important. But that doesn't mean that you, as an individual advertiser, should listen to that. I mean, you should know better, especially after this webinar. You should know that it's incredibly important, and we should strive to be above average. You see what I mean? Actually, I kind of, let me rephrase what I was saying before. Earlier I was saying that on average 250 of you are below average and 250 of you are above average, but there's actually millions of advertisers out there. So we could make it so that all 500 of us here today are above average, compared to all the other schmucks out there who didn't sign up for this webinar. So yeah, I think that explanation makes sense, and I think that's what they're doing, because when I look at the performance of the different accounts and benchmark by the quality score, there's no question in my mind how important this metric is. They also did a new quality score video. I love this picture of Hal. This is Hal Varian. He's their chief economist, and he did a new video on how quality score works. I've provided a link to the video. You should definitely listen to it. It's bit.ly/QS video. The guy cracks me up here. I think he's aged a little bit. But basically, there's a new, in fact, this is even more up to date than the slides that I was showing you earlier. Remember how I was saying that your ad rank has to do with the bid times the quality score? There's actually a new format, a new factor in the algebra here. It's called the format impact. Okay, the format impact is it basically has to do with whether or not your ad employs ad extensions, such as a call extension or a location extension, or any kind of ad extension, and Google is then taking that into consideration when determining your ad rank, meaning if you have a call extension or something like that, then you'll get a little bonus on your ad rank. Whereas if you have no call extensions, you will get no bonus at all. In fact, it's actually a penalty. And so so that was a small new development here that they announced a few months ago, but they never really illustrated how that works. And as you can see here, it's just kind of a little bonus that you get if you use ad extensions. There was one other thing that I wanted to show. How much time do we have here? We're kind of low on time. There was one other thing that I wanted to show, which is can I go to the Uh, you know what? We'll just move on. It's the point was they changed kind of how the language of how a keyword quality score is calculated. The old language used to say that the quality score was only impacted by the exact matches of searches for your exact keyword matches. And now the new verbiage is saying that other keywords in your account will have an impact on the quality score of that keyword. So I think that was also a big difference, whereas before they were saying like each keyword is an island, and that the quality score is only impacted by the metrics for exact matches on that keyword, versus now they're saying like it's impacted by other keywords in your account. Yeah, let's move along here. I wanted to not just make this a theoretical discussion. I also wanted to be practical, because it's great to know that quality score is important and that Google may be withholding information, but what good is it if you don't know how to kind of get high quality score ads? And so the point of this is just to say a lot, like the biggest problem for most of the advertisers that I work with is that they think their click-through rate is a lot better than it really is. So remember that expected click-through rate here. Like Google actually expects quite a lot more for your ads than you might expect. That 0.5% or 1% click-through rate or 2% click-through rate, it's generally not going to cut it. And so in AdWords, like the reason why it's so confusing is because it's very difficult to see the forest for the trees. What I mean by this is that you see that your own ad got 0.5% click-through rate, but what you don't see is like how that compares to all the other keywords, all the other advertisers on that search page that are kicking your butt. So so the idea here is your winning ad, like the ad that you think is doing well, it could be crap. And so how great can your click-through rate be? And again, here's where the research comes into play. It varies a lot. Depending on how successful you are at writing your ads, you can write ads that do not just above average, but you can actually look at this green line. You can the top. You can write ads that do twice the average, or you can write ads that do 3 times the average. And so there's a lot of variability that comes into play in terms of the keyword selection and your ad copy writing skills. And so by mastering those two, you can drive keywords with 20% click-through rates or more. And so as I remember, this is a relative metric. So if you think of like the universe of advertisers in terms of percentiles, the bottom 50% of advertisers, well, they're hopeless. Like that's the below the expected value. They're the ones that are below average, and so their life is bad. But if you think of like the top 15%, like how hard is it to be in the top 15% of advertisers? Well, then you need to just get 2 times the expected click-through rate. The top 5% of advertisers, they strive for 3 times higher than the average click-through rate. And the top 1%, oh, this is amazing. They have 6 times higher click-through rate relative to the average. And these are so amazing. Perhaps you've seen one of my presentations before. I refer to these guys as unicorns because these advertisers are such rare and beautiful creatures. Of the 500 people on our webinar today, 5 of you have these kind of these amazing accounts. And so so yeah, these unicorns, they have like 6 times the average click-through rate. How the heck do they do that? Well, actually, I happen to have a stable of unicorns because I have so many clients. And so what I was able to do was kind of reverse engineer kind of what's in common, what's the lowest common denominator of these different advertisers. I'm going to share that to you right now, and so that you can kind of figure out where they live and what you need to do to get a unicorn of your own. And the first, aha had to do with the keyword selection in terms of like what types of keywords were they bidding on to begin with. Like, there's different intent behind different types of searches. So like toaster oven reviews or stainless steel dishwasher, these are keywords with high commercial intent, because the person who's executing the search is trying to buy a product or a service. And so those were the types of keywords that got ridiculously high click-through rates, and that I think that you should be focusing on. The opposite were these informational or question keywords, like where it's like a student doing some research on like the War of 1812 or who's Thomas Edison. Like those are types of ads that people will never click on your ads because they weren't looking to buy something in the first place. They were just looking to learn about something. And in fact, when you do those searches on Google, you'll find that it's very rare that they even bother showing up ads on informational searches because they're so confusing. So the first aha was like kind of the keyword selection. Another one had to do with dynamic keyword insertion and whether or not that matters. And so dynamic keyword insertion is where you use that squiggly bracket in the ad text, and what that does is it substitutes the user's search query into the ad so that it looks like you have an ad that speaks directly to what they were just searching for, just 2 seconds ago. So that's a clever technique, ad writing technique, but does it help create, great unicorn ads? And so I did some research here, and what you can see is that dynamic keyword insertion is an incredibly powerful tool for driving above average ads, meaning like if your goal is just to not be below average, dynamic keyword insertion is your express ticket to the upper middle class. However, when I looked at the unicorns, sort of the keywords, sort of the ads that had 5 or 6 times the expected click-through rate, what I found was that their performance had nothing to do with dynamic keyword insertion. They weren't using dynamic keyword insertion, meaning they were relying on kind of creativity, offers, guarantees, unique selling propositions, emotions, rather than just this little dynamic keyword substitution trick that you're much more likely to get a unicorn with a handwritten ad rather than a computer generated ad. What about ad extensions? So we know that that they factor into ad rank, and they do kind of help out in that way. Does an ad extension such as a site link extension or communication extension or social extension or chat extension, or image extensions, do these call extensions help you create unicorn ads for your account? And again, I don't have to pontificate here because I have some data. What I found was that yes, it matters a little bit. It will tend, like the ads that contained all those site links did a little bit better in terms of the click-through rates than those that did not. And as you might expect, they did a little bit better on their quality scores than those that did not. However, it did not. It was like a 10% increase. It was not a doubling or tripling or quadrupling of your click-through rate. So meaning the key takeaway here is that you cannot just bolt on these extensions to a crappy ad and expect it to do amazing. You actually need to, the extensions can only make a crap ad so much better. So then how then do we write these unicorn ads? And the answer is that the bar is actually very low. Most of the ads in Google are hopelessly boring and crappy. Like this ad for big data solutions, I call this an AdWords jackpot because I hit a row of big data solutions, just like how you would hit a row of Lucky Sevens in Vegas. Like they're 4 of the same, and the reason has to do with Google encourages companies, they really play up the importance of the keyword matching, in a lot of that in that AdWords informational quality score information. They really play up the value of the keyword matching, their keyword relevancy, when really it's mostly about click-through rate. And so that's how you get into this situation where you have all the ads in a page looking the same, because Google is kind of tacitly encouraging that behavior. Here's another example of an AdWords jackpot where I hit a row of iPads, iPad minis. I kind of just thinking of coins flying out of my my monitor here. So what's the opposite of an AdWords jackpot, and how can you come up with something differentiated? It has to do with the well, uh, connecting with the advertiser on an emotional level. So my friend, colleague, and respected guru, Perry Marshall, you should check him out, perrymarshall.com. He has this simple tactic called the Swiss Army knife, and what it's just a brainstorming process. What you do is you just write out who's the customer, what's something that customer loves and hates, and who's their best friend and worst enemy, and then what's the relationship between you, and all these different entities on this graph. And then as you connect the different edges on this graph, you can actually start coming up with highly charged emotional ads, like unicorns, that get 6 times the click-through rate, such as this one for a divorce attorney. Who is your husband sleeping with? Is he sleeping with her now? Get revenge and a smile on your face. So, like, you see how this doesn't even include the word divorce attorney, in the keyword, in the ad, but nevertheless, this gets 6 times the click-through rate. So this is the 1%. This is the unicorn that you are looking for, and just to drive it home, compare that to all the other crap on this page when I do a search for Boston divorce lawyer. It's a jackpot, meaning a jackpot in that it's an opportunity to really stand out in a undifferentiated crowd of unremarkable ads. So lots of upside there, guys. Just you got to unleash your creativity. I actually think that you know who does this really well? Content marketers. So, like, if you go to like BuzzFeed or Upworthy, like they have these really ridiculous like headlines on their articles, like, this is the one weird trick to eliminate belly fat, or I don't know, whatever it is. Like, they have these really sensational headlines, and it's those same emotions of curiosity, of awesomeness, of fear, of anxiety. Those emotions that drive us to click on organic results are the same emotions that drive us to click on paid search results. And we should be doing more of this. Yet no one does it because they're so obsessed with kind of matching keywords in the headline and description. So just I'm kind of low on time here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about ad testing, and a lot of people think that they're writing lots of ads, but really they're actually testing the same ad twice. So, like this one here, how to write a book, comma, fast. Compare that to how to write a book fast, no comma. So in order to find a unicorn, you're going to have to do a lot of ad testing. You know, on average, because it's the top 1 percentile, you'll have to write 100 ads. But these 2 ads are actually the same ad with a comma. So, like, this all counts as one, even though there's like small differences. Instead, try testing out huge differences, like ridiculously different offers, guarantees, like shocking headlines, and try those instead. What else here? Now, you're thinking like 100 ads could be a lot of work, but it's actually not as hard as you think, because when I think of the typical small businesses that we work with, they don't have that many ads. Like, on average, if you think of the millions of advertisers out there, a small business only has around 18 text ads in their account, and 85% of the impressions in their account go to 5% of their ads. So if you're a typical small business out there, if you can just nail one really good ad, that should float the performance of your entire account. All right, so we're at the end of our presentation here. I want to have some time for questions, but I just wanted to say, kind of in summary, I think, despite what Google says, you should say no to low click-through rates and low quality scores. You should follow the kind of the tips and guidance that I'm providing here around writing insanely awesome ads that get triple or more the click-through rates on average. Clearly Google leaves out information in their content because, like, they're introducing new information now, which means they were leaving out information before, right? So what makes you think that that they're not leaving information out now? Like, clearly they are, for obvious reasons. They don't want smart people to be exploiting their algorithms, fine, but that it just means that you need to think, you need to take what they say with a grain of salt. Like, so they're not trying to deliberately mislead you, but that doesn't mean that you can't do better. This is a kind of interesting takeaway here at number 4. I'm suggesting that you delete the bottom third of your account, because, like, if you think about the performance of your account as a whole, the above average quality score stuff is going to represent the better quality stuff in your account, and the bottom third is going to be the crap that's kind of holding you back. And I'm suggesting that given that they've now admitted that the performance of related keywords in your account affects the quality scores of new keywords, and that's in the white paper, by the way. Now they've admitted that the obvious takeaway is to delete those crap keywords and redeploy it to something like remarketing or RSLA or something else. All right, so just a little bit about WordStream's offerings. So I kept the promotional stuff to the end here, so hopefully you can just stick around for 2 minutes here. The quality score, you might want to know how your quality score is doing, and a really easy way to do this is to grade your PPC account. So just go to wordstream.com/Google AdWords, and what we'll do is we'll run a instant audit of your account, and it's you'll be able to figure out if you're one of those advertisers who are above average or below average, because we're grading on a curve here. We're giving percentile grades, it'll show you like how your quality score distribution compares to other companies in your industry and of similar size. We also sell, so that's completely free, by the way. We also sell a PPC management solution called PPC Advisor. The killer feature of this product is something called the 20-minute PPC workweek, and yes, I stole that from 20-minute abs, but the idea is similar. It is that you can make your account, to be great over time with a little bit of effort every week. So rather than giving you a million things to work on and then having you to figure it out all by yourself, the software kind of finds 10 optimizations for you to focus on, like this is a crap ad, or this is a crap keyword that needs to be fixed, or change this bid, or add this negative keyword, or add this keyword. Like we'll figure out what you need to do, and just it's like very simple. It's like not rocket science. You can just follow the wizards, and it'll show you what to do. One of the other killer features that we have is leads and landing page management software. So like I've seen a lot of your websites, guys, and some of those landing pages are a little bit scary, and so I understand it's hard to do because this is HTML coding, and who knows how to do that, right? So with WordStream we have leads and landing page software, so it allows you to kind of like Microsoft Publisher will host and help you create simple landing pages that are effective, and you'll get more from your paid search. And one of the cool features of this landing page software is that it has call tracking. So meaning the number that it shows on either this landing page or on your website, it doesn't have to be on our landing pages, you can host it. The number is provisioned dynamically, so you can record and track the phone number, the phone calls that come from mobile, which is going to be half of the searches, guys, and be able to play them back and try to determine what keywords led to what calls and whether or not those calls are useful or not as leads for your business. So that's brand new. It was released 2 weeks ago, and I'd love it if you would sign up for a trial or a demo of that. And here's what that call tracking looks like. It shows you like how many leads you got and how many calls you got, every day. And this is like, you can't get this in AdWords. All right. So Chris, holy cow, we're like way over time here. Can we just throw up the special offer for our users today here?
Sure. Larry, I just launched that, and thank you everyone for sending your questions in. I'm just going to leave this poll question up. You guys can answer it. It's for a free live demo of the PPC Advisor, and that includes landing pages and leads, call tracking, the 20-minute work week, and then also a free 101 AdWords Grader walkthrough. So if you do that free instant audit of your account, we have paid search experts here that will actually walk through your account with you and give you like a one-on-one consultation, or nothing at the moment. So let's hop right into the questions. Again, thanks everyone for sending it in. So Larry, the first question here is, how do you know if you're above or below average for the terms that you're for your keywords?
Just as a simple rule of thumb, like anything below a 5 I would consider below average, and anything above a 5 I would consider above average. Now, if you wanted to do that across your account, what you would do is you would take an impression-weighted average. So like you would weight, you wouldn't just take a simple average of the quality scores of your keywords, but you would weight them by the number of times the keywords are being impressed upon users. So like if a keyword got a quality score 7, but it was never seen by anyone, then that doesn't count.
Okay, great. So Larry, you talked a lot about expected click-through rate. So how does someone find the expected click-through rate for the keywords they're using?
Just download my slide deck here and compare the expected click-through rate from that graph. Basically, all you're doing is like you're basically looking at the ad position. So like if you're in position 3 or something like this, just look on my chart to see what the expected position, the expected click-through rate is for that ad position, and that's so you should be able to quickly diagnose like how much more you need to get that keyword to be.
Great, great. And we'll be sending the slides out in the recording to everyone that attended today, so you'll be able to reference that. The next question here is, does quality score impact SEO rankings?
No. Next question.
Touchy subject, Larry. So next question here is, so you're saying quality score has nothing to do with landing page content and the destination URL. And I think a lot of people are asking this question because, if you're getting cute with your ads, does that language have to carry over to your landing page?
Can I give you guys an example? Guys, do you think that Google is going to give you a higher quality score just because you jammed a keyword into a URL, into a destination URL? I mean, does that strike you as making any sense whatsoever? Like, I mean, it's such an easy hack. Like, no, it doesn't matter. What matters is the click-through rate of your ads. They like to dance around the subject and try to like obfuscate and say all these other factors are important, because they are important in that but it's a binary. So like if you have a really crappy landing page that has nothing to do with it, then that's where it comes into play. If you have a decent landing page that you're hoping to get a higher quality score by just tweaking or optimizing it a little bit, then makes no difference. So like, provided that you're above a minimum threshold of quality, like you have the contact us information and like terms of service, like just the bare minimum that they ask for, then you get a pass, and then that no longer factors into play.
And Larry, how often is quality score recalculated? So if someone made changes in their account to optimize it, how long would it take to recalculate their quality score?
I think it depends on the amount of the spend, like how the velocity of how quickly you're accruing clicks and impressions. I've been told that they can infer quality score within 200 impressions.
Okay, great. Oh, sorry, Larry. Go ahead.
No, next.
Okay. So the next question here is, so someone has a question back to the ad copy. Can you be creative with your ad copy in all industries? So if their industry is a bit dry, will being a little bit creative with their copy, will that benefit them at all?
Not only is it possible, but your rewards will be substantially greater because your competition are a bunch of, uncreative zombies that are just using dynamic keyword insertion, and so it'll be even more easy for you to stand up among the crowd. The bar is even lower.
Okay, great. So regarding deleting junk keywords, does pausing keywords instead, so you retain the historical data, does that make a difference?
So is there a difference between pause and delete? No, I don't believe so. Although that's worth doing some more experimentation on, because they recently, just in this new information, they said that the quality of related keywords can impact the quality score of new keywords. So it's unclear to me whether or not they're getting that from deleted keywords or live keywords, or both. So let me just kind of do a pass on that one, and then maybe follow up with like some better information after researching it. I just don't like to give answers if I don't have data. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. So we're kind of running over here. So we'll end on one more question, but thanks everyone for sending it in. You know, we like to do follow-up blog posts and stuff after this, so we'll try to answer as many questions as we can through that. So Larry, you were talking a lot about not using your keywords in your ads. This person asked, do you have to use your keywords in the ad, or is that no longer necessary for quality score?
So I just want to be really clear on this. If you use the keywords in your ads, it's a very safe strategy. Okay, meaning you can expect to do slightly above average using the dynamic keyword insertion, or just using an ad copy strategy that uses keywords that people are searching for and reflects them back in the headline and the description. Those will do above average. And so if that's your goal, I just want to be middle class, upper middle class of advertisers, that is a very safe and simple strategy. Now, if you want to be the top 5% or the top 1% of advertisers in your account, well then, no, that's just having the keywords in your account will not, in your ads is not going to cut it. And you instead have to rely on far more creative ad copy strategies that invoke fear or anxiety or happiness or awe or like emotions. And that's the type of ad that is not possible by just reflecting back the same keyword that people searched on. You see what I mean?
Great. Well, thank you, Larry. Thank you very much, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Again, if you'd like to take us up on any of those offers, I did close the poll, but definitely feel free to reach out to us. You can follow Larry on Twitter, @LarryKim. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we hope you join us for our next webinar.